all the things I could do, all of my powers, and I couldn't keep Rachel Wednesday alive. That changes now. That's right, I'm going to try to bring Retro Wednesday back on a weekly basis, at the least every other week. But before I get into the review, I gotta mention about my Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. reviews. I'm deciding to kill them until the season finale, because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. unfortunately is very unpopular with fans. I like the show still. I'll tell you what I thought of the last two episodes. Episode 6 was okay. Episode 7 was pretty good. But I'm going to wait until the end of the season to give my thoughts on the season as a whole, rather than reviewing episodes individually, because I don't want to come off as some fanboy to those who hate the show. But enough about Marvel. This is DC time, and time to review the 1978 classic Superman. Since Man of Steel came out on Blu-ray yesterday, I figured it would be very appropriate to review this movie. Superman was directed by Richard Donner in 1978, and is considered to be the first modern superhero movie. There have been other stuff in the past, like old serials in the 40s, and then the Adam West Batman series, but this is considered to be the very first modern superhero movie. X-Men, Blade, and Spider-Man may have started the trend of why we have so many superhero movies today, but this was the first. And it's almost ridiculous to say the plot. It tells the story of the last son of Krypton, Kal-El, who is sent to Earth and basically becomes the superhero we all know as Superman. As of this year, Superman is 35 years old, and it really has stood the test of time, and something I consider to be one of the great memorable films of the 1970s, along with stuff like The Exorcist, the first two Godfathers, American Graffiti, Jaws, Star Wars, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and Alien. Looking at all the superhero stuff prior to this movie, I always got the impression that they were never looked at as mature adult stuff. They always seemed like kiddie stuff, something that someone would look down upon. And one of the things that definitely reinforced this theory is the campy 1960s Adam West Batman series, and the movie that came out in the 60s. And while Superman the movie definitely has some cheesy and even laughable moments, it still takes the story of Superman very seriously, respects the mythology, and has really stood the test of time. In fact, one of the screenwriters was Mario Puzo, who's known for writing the novel The Godfather, and then helped Francis Ford Coppola co-write the screenplay for the film adaptation. It's also got some great performances, and they managed to reel in some Oscar nominees and winners. There's nothing really I could say about Christopher Reeve. I mean, he is the one and only Superman. As good as Henry Cavill was in Man of Steel, Christopher Reeve still trumps Henry Cavill. Maybe because he has the advantage of being American, which, unfortunately, Henry, you are not. It's kind of odd having a British person play a well-known American icon. You still did a good job, though. You did a good job, Henry. Everyone else does a good job. Lex Luthor is played by Gene Hackman, who was nominated for an Oscar for Bonnie and Clyde. And when he plays Luthor, he's a little over the top, but he's still pretty good, and makes a great opponent for Superman. Which, whenever I watched any of the other Superman stuff, mainly the Bruce Timm animated series, the one thing that I was always interested in, and always fascinated me, was the conflict between Lex Luthor and Superman, when it's just conversations. Because clearly you know that Luthor is the smartest person in the room. And then one of the greatest actors of all time, Marlon Brando, is in the movie as Superman's space dad, Jor-El. When I first saw the movie, I thought he was kind of half-assing it, especially for being one of the greatest actors of all time. But seeing it again, he does a pretty good job. He has this real voice of authority, and, well, I know he's Superman's genetic father, but watching him during the scene where Superman finds the Fortress of Solitude, I got the idea that it was a Obi-Wan Kenobi, Luke Skywalker relationship like in the original Star Wars. And speaking of Star Wars, that makes a great segue for one of the strongest points of this movie, the score. John Williams' score really needs no introduction. It's one of his best scores, And his theme for Superman is the definitive Superman theme. Whenever you think of Superman, whenever you read Superman, that theme will pop up in your head. No disrespect to Hans Zimmer, because he did a really good score in Man of Steel, but, I mean, let's be honest. You can never top anything that John Williams does. Never! I'm sorry, I had to do that. Anyway, moving on. Now, as great as this movie is, and as much as people put it and The Dark Knight up to par as the best superhero movies ever made, it's not without its problems. And I personally don't think it's one of the top 5 best superhero movies ever made. It is definitely one of my favorites, one of my top 10 favorite superhero movies. But it does have its issues. And maybe it's because I'm of a younger generation, but here they are. One thing that I don't like, and that irritated me in this movie and in its sequel, Superman 2, was the way they kept pronouncing Krypton. Marlon Brando is the first to utter the word, and he says Krypton. And throughout this entire movie, and throughout Superman 2, everyone pronounces Krypton as Krypton. It's just very annoying. Every time someone says Krypton, I have to say, Krypton! But I don't know if it carried into Superman 3 and 4, and quite frankly, I don't want to know, because, God forbid I ever have to see those movies. But it might make good reviews. I'll keep that in mind. I know you're all waiting for me to talk about the big problem with this movie, the ending. A lot of people seem to have the same feelings that I do about the ending. I mean, the nostalgia critics made fun of it, how it should have ended made fun of it, so I'm not going to get into details fully, except that Superman spinning the world backwards to save Lois Lane just feels very inorganic to the plot, and makes for kind of an anticlimactic ending. Though I will say, as inorganic as it is, I actually prefer this ending over the ending of Man of Steel. Regardless of that inorganic ending, it doesn't ruin the movie as a whole, and sure as hell does not keep me from enjoying this movie. I think it's a very well-written, well-acted, well-directed, well-shot movie. It's a great score, and continues to influence not just Superman lore, but superhero movies today. It's a really great movie. If you haven't seen it yet, you need to get off your ass and go see it right now. As for Man of Steel, I haven't seen it a second time yet, but this is one of those movies where the more I think about it, the more I kind of dislike it. Especially since I unintentionally compare it to the Richard Donner Superman. But now that it's out on Blu-ray, I want to go watch it again, and I want to make a comparison video of the two movies. I can't guarantee when the video is going to come out, or when I'm going to be able to see Man of Steel again, but definitely before this year ends. So, look forward to that. And yeah, that's my review for the Richard Donner Superman. Leave a comment with your thoughts on the movie, subscribe to my channel for more reviews in the future, check out my other channel, AlexG8462. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at AlexG8462. Like me on Facebook, / The Cinemas with Mr. Robinson. Share me with your friends and tell them about me. This has been The Cinemas with Mr. Robinson, and I'm going to tell you to know it before you see it. See you guys later.